The Calgary Flames will name Craig Conroy their new general manager on Tuesday. Conroy was Calgary's assistant GM under former GM Brad Treliving, who mutually agreed to part ways with the team in April. In addition to Conroy, former Canucks and Leafs GM Dave Nonis is expected to join the Flames in a senior management role. And so for more on the Flames' new GM, we are joined by our Calgary Bureau Chief Salim Valji. Salim, Conroy's been in the Flames front office for at least a dozen years, 9 as the assistant GM. One thing to work in an NHL front office, a completely different thing when you are running the team. But in dealing with him the last couple of years since you've been in Calgary, I assume you believe that he is ready.
Oh, without question, Jay. And I don't think this was simply a case of the ex-player given the job sort of as a gift. The Calgary Flames, like I mentioned on this program last week, had an initial list of close to 40 candidates, and we're really considering going in some interesting directions. And it all comes back to the guy that lives and breathes the Calgary Flames and the city of Calgary. Conroy is extremely capable. One of his first assignments was involving Johnny Gaudreau. I actually spoke with Jay Feaster this afternoon. Jay was the the general manager that recruited Conroy after his playing career ended. And one of Conroy's first assignments was to make sure that Johnny Gaudreau felt comfortable. It was Conroy that nurtured a relationship with Gaudreau, who was then a prospect playing in the NCAA. And Conroy built that relationship. And if you recall, Jay, Gaudreau could have signed with any NHL team after his college career ended, but Conroy was instrumental in getting Gaudreau and his parents comfortable with the city of Calgary and the Flames organization. And that obviously was a massive, massive accomplishment given what Gaudreau did over here. Conroy has literally traveled the world scouting and finding players for this organization. He had a big role in the signing of the likes of Walker Duehr and other player recruitment news. So this is certainly well-deserved. And Conroy, of course, comes with with his other former teammates in Jarome Iginla, who I don't think would have been likely to join this organization in a capacity had Conroy not been given this title. So Craig's more than earned it. He, I think, is extremely qualified. I'm sure the players will be really happy, and he's got a lot of work to do, but this certainly was a position he earned and was not given by any stretch.
And Iginla expected to perhaps join the front office with Conroy after another year coaching his son in Kelowna. This is a team, as you know, Salim, better than anyone, a number of significant issues coming off a very disappointing season. What does Craig Conroy need to prioritize right away?
Well, initially, Jay, I think you look at the fact that there is no one behind the bench at the moment. Even the assistant coaches don't have contracts beyond this season. But I actually think that Elias Lindholm is Craig Conroy's first priority. Lindholm is under a very team-friendly contract right now. He's a pure number one center. He's in the Selke conversation. He has a 40-goal season under his belt. And, Jay, there are people in the organization that fear that Lindholm will walk when his contract expires next summer. He, of course, is eligible to sign an extension this summer. So Craig Conroy, beyond the coach, I think his number one priority is figuring out where Elias Lindholm's heart lies and if Lindholm sees a future for himself in Calgary beyond next season. If the answer is yes, then you try and put pen to paper on an agreement this summer. But if it's not, you have some interesting calls to make about Lindholm. And if you run it back with him during his contract season like you did Gaudreau and risk losing him for nothing, you also have similar decisions to make about other key players that are set to become free agents next summer, like Tyler Toffoli and Michael Backlund. And beyond that, Jay, I think Craig Conroy has to figure out how to make Jonathan Huberdeau comfortable. What works for their star player who's signed this massive contract, what Huberdeau wants in a coach, how they can make Huberdeau feel as close to 100% as possible, given what happened this past season. And it really is Lindholm and Huberdeau that Craig Conroy has to prioritize. And in addition to finding a head coach that meshes with this particular group of players.
You mentioned head coach. Can I ask you quickly about that, Salim? Because we know about Jonathan Huberdeau's tough season. We know Andrew Burnett, Huberdeau's head coach in Florida, is out there, potentially available. But there are a couple of in-house candidates that might have the inside track on this job.
Yeah, Jay, and the Flames, they have certain faults in their organization, but they do a good job of bringing in quality off-ice people. If you look at Ryan Huska, who was a little bit of an unknown before he came here and was the coach in the American League, and the same can be said about Mitch Love. And I think those two will get very, very strong consideration for this head coaching role. particularly Huska, because he has familiarity already with a lot of these players. I think it's really difficult, Jay, to make the transition from American League head coach straight to the National Hockey League without any real NHL experience. And that's where I think Huska really has an opportunity here because he's extremely good tactically. He ran the Flames penalty kill that was very, very good the past couple of seasons. And I think the players have a lot of respect for him. Mitch Love's contract expires next season, similar to those other players. And I think he will garner lots of interest around the National Hockey League. And I could see Mitch Love getting promoted to, say, an assistant or associate coach. But Ryan Huska is the name I'm really, really intrigued by. And the Calgary Flames have, in addition to Craig Conroy, their internal candidate that got the GM job, there are a couple of candidates for the coaching role that I think really, really fit what this team is and will get the most out of Huberdeau and Nazem Kadri and Elias Lindholm and those other players that had such disappointing seasons. So it's Huska or Love, but I think Huska is the one to watch here.
Boy, Salim, you are going to be very busy on Tuesday as the Calgary Flames introduce Craig Conroy officially as their new GM. You will be there, so rest up, my friend. You'll need some sleep. You're going to be working hard on Tuesday.
Hey, absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Jay.